Hey everybody, and welcome back to Threat X3 Productions. I am Nick, here with me today,
Nate.
And today we are reviewing The Rise of Skywalker, Episode 9, the supposed last Star Wars, at least of the
Skywalker saga.
I don't know. So dumb. Like, there is going to be another Star Wars, so now are they just going to have it like it was like a Star Wars story solo? Is like, I guess, is that what they're going to start doing? Or are they going to start a brand new saga and here's like episode 1?
Basically, they're leaving it open to interpretation. There could be solo movies in this universe or a new saga story to tell. So yeah, this story of the Skywalkers is concluding.
Okay. Not that Skywalkers had really anything to do with this frickin' movie, though.
Tangentially they did.
Right.
In a lot of ways.
Tertiary, that's really what it was. All right, so give me overall, what did you think of it?
Okay, so this first part, obviously...
We're going broad strokes first.
Yeah, and this first part will be spoiler-free, and then we'll give you a note of when the spoilers are. It's going to be very short, the spoiler-free, I can tell you that.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Overall, I really, really genuinely loved this movie. It's one of those things that it's not like... I'm not hype. I wasn't hype when I got out like I was with something like The Dark Knight, like when you walk out and you're immediately like, oh my god, that's a phenomenal movie. But it's one of those that this movie meant so much to me. The way it was, this movie honestly is the most Star Wars movie I've ever seen.
Agreed, yeah.
The content of it seems like something, because I listen to a lot of the Star Wars audiobooks. This content seems like something that would be out of one of those books. I mean, it's really, some of the stuff in there is really out there. But in a good way. And it's one of those that, for the people complaining about a lot of fan service, I can see where they're coming from and the confusion when it comes to some of these new powers they introduced. But at the same time, like, if you absorb a lot of other Star Wars content, whether it's canon or not, that's stuff we've seen before. So it's kind of one of those, it's not like, I don't necessarily understand what people are complaining about this movie.
Yeah, I'd have to agree as far as, like, I might not be as, like, all up in it as you are. But yeah, I definitely really like this movie.
Which surprised me. When you texted me and said you did, I was like, because I'm watching this movie and I'm like, ooh, I bet Nick's gonna hate that. Like, it was one of those, like, and you said, I was like,
overall, let's put it this way. Overall, the movie by itself is a good movie, and I really like it. And I'm actually right at the same spot as you are, where it's like a lot of people were hating on this movie, and I'm just like, why? You know, and it's like, I feel like part of the reason, maybe not the only reason, but I think part of the reason I like this so much is because I had zero expectations.
Yeah, same.
I went into it not expecting to love it, not expecting it, I mean, maybe expecting to not like it, but maybe not hate it, you know what I mean? Basically, my desire to go see this movie hanged only on the fact that it was the quote-unquote last movie. Other than that, like, I didn't see it because I loved The Last Jedi. You know, I didn't hate The Last Jedi by all means, but I also didn't love it or whatever. So yeah, I'd have to say the same thing. It was, if anything, it was a big surprise. It was like, oh, okay, like, wow, you know. There's definitely some, like, maybe nitpicky things that we'll talk about later in the spoiler section, but it was, overall, I think it was really cool. So, sticking in the non-spoilers, what would you say is, like, your favorite part about it? Whether it be cinematics, a person, a moment in it?
Which that's something I'll get into as well, is some of these actors who were in this movie. Oh man, it's hard to say without spoilers. I think all of mine are going to be spoilers. But
so would you say then the story or narrative?
So yes, I will. I do have one actually.
Okay,
and it's not a spoiler because it's in the trailer. When you see, it's basically that shot of the Millennium Falcon and all the ships surrounding, but more expanded out. Whenever you hear him on the radio, and then it like
on your left,
and it just like the sky is just like, oh my god, like it was. I got chills. I got so many chills. So that's my non-spoiler one. All my other ones are going to be spoiler related.
Yeah, I would have to say my favorite part about the movie is the kind of return to formula, but in a good way. because I feel like everyone, even if you love it, even if you hate it, I feel like the one thing that they can agree on The Last Jedi is just how different it was. And so you either saw that it was different and you didn't like that, or you saw that it was different and you hated it. So that's, but regardless, I do feel like in the fact that how divisive it was, I do feel like that was a failure, because it's like, generally, if it's a good movie, most everybody agrees. Like, it's very rare that you'll see a movie and be like, that's crap, and then everybody agrees. I don't know. Anyways, so that's my favorite part about it, is that it returned, maybe not back to formula, that might be a little bit too contrived, but rather it returned back to like the Star Wars we know and love, whether that be like the spirit of it or the narrative in general. But in general, I really feel like it returned back to familiar places. It didn't seem like they were trying to subvert every goddamn expectation that we had or anything like that, and rather it was more focused on just putting out a story that made sense, that was fun, that was fast paced or whatever, that had a really good pace to it. That's what they were focused on. The monumental, thing that J.J. Abrams had on his back, which was pretty much this monkey screaming at him. And then he was able to actually put out something like this, I feel like is an accomplishment in and of itself. So, favorite character, what would you say was your favorite character?
Ooh.
Babu.
Honestly, in this film, all the this is one thing that I really do like, is I love all the characters in this movie, every single one. There's not one that I dislike. I am very, very disappointed with how little Dominic Monaghan, no, not Monaghan, he's from Shameless, the one from Lord of the Rings. He played
Pippin.
Yeah, he played Pippin. Yeah, he was severely underused. Like there was not.
He was relegated to the background, and it was like, unless you really knew what was going on. It's like there was a couple of times where he was like in the foreground. There's plenty of times he was just kind of in the background, and if you weren't really paying attention, it's like in World War Z where freaking Matthew Fox showed up out of nowhere, and you're like, what the hell, man?
Yeah.
Which, funnily enough, is another Lost member.
Yeah. So, favorite character in this film is, I think,
Babu!
Honestly,
Babu!
He is good, but I honestly think it's a tie between Poe and Finn. I really like their characterizations and their fulfillments of these characters. I definitely think Finn got the shaft in The Last Jedi. I mean, he was sent on a pointless task that kind of just made his character seem dumb. He didn't have.
And see, that was another thing that, love it or hate it, everybody could agree on. Everyone, whether you thought it was the best Star Wars movie or the worst Star Wars movie, everyone can agree that the Canto Bight scene was fucking dumb. So thank God that there was one thing that we could all come together on. Having said that, yeah, definitely, Finn was, I feel, a little bit better characterized. There is one thing, and that'll be in the spoiler section, that was just like, come on, seriously. But other than that, I do feel like overall, everybody, it was kind of like a good Avengers movie.
Yeah.
Everybody had their time to shine. And then the people you didn't really care about were just relegated back to the background. And I'm okay with that. I really am. Yeah. But as far as favorite character, Babu, he my boy. But no, I think my favorite character, is Poe. I'm not going to split it like you do all the time. I'm actually going to go definitively Poe. I do feel like there was maybe a little bit of backtracking on The Last Jedi, because especially at the end, he kind of seemed like he was reverting, or he was backpedaling to how he was at the beginning of The Last Jedi. But that was clearly overshadowed very quickly. But in general, I kind of liked his character, and he filled the Han Solo role a little bit better this time around, because he was kind of always supposed to be the Han Rolo. Oh my god.
I'm leaving that in because that's fantastic.
Oh my god. But he was kind of always going to be the Han Solo or whatever, but this time he fit a little bit better and it felt natural. You know, it wasn't just like, oh, he is the Han Solo. Rather, he is the Han Solo type. So he was still able to be his own character, but remind us enough of Han Solo that it's like, okay, it's like, here's one, here's two, they're similar. So, I mean, that's it. So then what would you say is your least favorite part about it?
This is going to be a Nate answer, and Nick's going to hate it, but the thing that I dislike the most about this movie, or my least favorite part about this whole movie, is the fact that this, I think, should have been what episode 8 was. Like, I think this very much...
No, I 1,000% agree with that.
I think I very much should have... this very much should have been episode 8, because here's the thing.
Mm-hmm.
There is literally maybe 2 lines in this whole movie that pertain back to The Last Jedi. You can literally plug... and basically, the way I look at The Last Jedi is it's a 2.5-hour long Clone Wars episode. I mean, that's really what it is.
Right.
You know, there's nothing...
Yep.
I rewatched it before seeing The Rise of Skywalker, and I was entertained while watching it, and when it finished, I felt empty. I was like, oh, I felt like that didn't have a point. So, yeah, that's my least favorite part, is that it had to come to this, it had to be the conclusion for this kind of content.
Yeah, you know, honestly, you kind of stole my answer, but honestly, I feel like the worst part about this movie is the fact that The Last Jedi exists. And that might be a cop-out, that might be like, you know, I could pick a very particular point, but as far as in general, yeah, I hate the fact that a lot of what this movie, what this movie is backpedaling and explaining certain things from The Last Jedi away. So since you're explaining them away, it means The Last Jedi shouldn't even exist. And so, yes, 1,000% I agree. This should have been episode 8, and we should have one more movie to salivate over. But instead, we're stuck in this weird no man's land, and just that's all we can do as far as, you know, no spoilers. Okay, so the way we're rating, we're at least moving forward, the way we're going to rate things is there's basically 4 tiers, and it's basically just our recommendation. Rather than giving it like, oh, I believe this is a 10 out of 10, yada, yada, we're basically just telling you our recommendation. So there's the top tier is kind of like, you know, day one or opening night. And so, you know, that can really pertain to like anything that's like, it's more of a, like in-game would be an opening night kind of movie, because that's something you would want to see on opening night so you don't get anything spoiled for you. You know, was in-game the best movie of all time? No, but it's still worth opening night, if that makes sense. So these are very liquid as far as ratings, and that's why we don't do numbers. The second one would be matinee. So wait for it to be a cheaper price and then go see it. Wait or rent, obviously wait for it to go out to the Redbox or something like that. And then the lowest tier would be stream it. You know, it still doesn't necessarily mean that it's a bad movie, but rather something that we wouldn't mind waiting until it comes out to a streaming device.
Yes.
Indeed. And yes, we will still have the same setup with streaming movies, because we're basically trying to say, what is this worth? Is it worth money? Is it not worth money?
And streaming,
streaming,
just something you see on Netflix nowadays, is basically the same thing as whenever you would just flip through cable and, oh, there's a movie I haven't seen, let's click on that. Like you're watching what's on.
Right.
So it's kind of one of those, you know, and then obviously if it's a terrible movie, it's a terrible movie, you know, but.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, it's basically just our recommendation. So what would you rate The Rise of Skywalker?
This one I would put, although I didn't see it on opening night because I'm an adult, I'm an adult with things and responsibilities to do, I would give this an opening night rating. In fact, because I saw this in IMAX, I would even give this like an even higher rating above that. Like with a premium tag on it or something like that.
Premium. Okay. I am kind of torn because I did go see it on opening night. Take that, mofo. And I'm not necessarily disappointed, or I'm not necessarily regretting seeing it on opening night. because this very much is kind of an event. It's the last Skywalker movie. So in a lot of ways, you know, I saw it opening night, you know, should I rate it that? Honestly, I feel like depending on where you were with The Last Jedi, I could totally understand not wanting to even see this movie. I don't know, opening night for me personally, and that's obviously just because of how much of an event it is. You know, this is the last one. You know, it's kind of like maybe if you didn't like a certain movie, but it's the last movie, you still want to kind of see it, even if it is out of a morbid curiosity. So that's my personal take on it. That is our ranking for it. So let us know what your ranking is on it down in the comments down below. Hey guys, so we decided that this would be better as a two-parter, one with no spoilers, one with spoilers, but kind of decided that after it. So if it seems like it just kind of ends out of nowhere, that's why. So obviously we'd like to know if you guys, you know, are you even going to go see it after episode 8? Have we convinced you to go see it? Let us know, and then join us back for the spoiler review.